This is Mugen Senshi Valis, better known as Valis Phantasm Soldier in English. As you have probably guessed, this is an old school Japanese 2D action platform game. The franchise was developed by Telenet Japan and was quite the successful series in its homeland, spanning 4 sequels, a spin-off and remakes across several platforms. First, we are taking a look at the original game, which came out on NEC's PC-88 way back in 1986. You play as Yuko Aso, who one day is returning from school when suddenly it started to rain. After finding cover, she encounters a fellow student, Reiko Kirishima, who talks with her and leaves her with many unanswered questions. Immediately afterwards, Yuko is attacked by a monster, but a sword appears which she uses to protect herself. She tries to run home only to see that the entire city is being attacked by monsters. After defeating them, Queen Valia appears in front of Yuko, telling her that the sword named Valis summoned her to save the dream world, Bekenati, from the claws of the evil Emperor Roglis, so she can also save the human world. As you can see, the game is very janky in movement, and I have to say it is also just as bad in playability. We can't expect too much though, since the NEC PC-88 wasn't really designed with gaming in mind. Thankfully the audio is rather good, making excellent use of the PC-88's FM audio capabilities. The next version of Valis was also released in 1986, but this time on the Sharp X1. This is basically just a carbon copy of the PC-88 version. It may run a bit smoother and may have some more colour, but it plays just the same. The biggest problem with many of Telenet's early games was poor level design, and yes, Valis is a prime example. Enemy attacks constantly bombard you from all over the screen and take far too much damage from you. The stages are also mazes with no real indication on where you are to go. Thankfully, some of these issues are addressed in later revisions of the game. The last port to be released in 1986 was on the MSX. This cartridge release sadly loses the introduction as well as the level of graphical detail found in the PC-88 and Sharp X1 releases. However, it does improve upon the gameplay, a little. Not enough to stop it from being annoying, but a little improvement nonetheless. What isn't improved though is the audio. Sadly, we can't expect the stock MSX sound chip to compete with the earlier releases. In 1987, Valis saw a release on the more powerful NEC PC 9801. This port features more detailed sprites and another update to the playability. Well, kind of. The barrage of enemies is still present, and you'll still be knocked all around the stage like a pinball, but at least now the health icons are more plentiful, allowing you to actually have a fighting chance of completing a stage. This is still not a great game though. Will it get any better? In 1987, the Famicom got a version of Valis, and yes, this is the first time we get something that is rather playable, but still suffers from crappy level design. The game has also been reworked somewhat. Rather than having a multi-scrolling area, stages are split into screens. The addition of a map helps you figure out where to go, but it can be a little confusing to understand at times. Sadly, the lengthy cutscenes are missing from this version, but it was to be expected in all fairness. By 1991, Telenet were bringing out their past library of games onto the Mega Drive, with Valis being no exception. This version has been completely reworked. The game now has much more fleshed out cinematic scenes, reworked controls that introduce a slide, and a better powered up system for the sword in order to allow magic attacks. The stages have also been redesigned, with many new additions as well as new enemies and a few classics returning. For a Mega Drive game, this isn't anything spectacular, and it isn't a great game to play, but at least for the first time we have a competent effort.
ゆうこ、朝ごはんできたわよ。早く置いてらっしゃい。
Valis finally reached the game it should have always been in 1992 with Telenet's port to the PC Engine CD. This version is based upon the Mega Drive game, however it fleshes it out massively. The cinematic introduction is dramatically extended, featuring full voice acting and a great soundtrack. The in-game graphics are steps above the Mega Drive version in looks and animation. And of course, with this being a PC Engine game, there's the obligatory panty shot whenever Yuko jumps or slides. This is easily the best version of Valis out there, followed by the impossible to get 2005 Japanese Vodafone game, which I do own but I can't play because the phone it is on is locked. And let's take a look at all those versions of Mugen Senshi Valis running side by side.